Hey, YCIS students, it's Mr. Hackman again. Can you believe Easter break is over already? Weren't we just saying goodbye? And we had this whole 2 weeks in front of us, and it seems like I don't know about you, but it seemed to go by like that. Anyhow, it's good to be back with you and be able to have this assembly time. I hope you're enjoying having your first day back via Zoom. Challenging, I know, but it's good that we're able to have this opportunity to be able to do it. What have you been up to the last couple of weeks? Did you get to do something that you don't normally do? Did you get to maybe turn off the computer a bit and do something that kind of enriches your life a little bit? I don't know about you. I actually started doing Duolingo. I don't know if you know the app Duolingo to learn languages. I've been doing French like every single day. I've been learning French. I've been trying to utilize this time in a constructive way. I kept thinking, I don't want to blow through this 2 weeks. I mean, I know it's vacation. I want to have a good time, but I want to kind of better myself. I don't want to feel at the end of 2 weeks like I just kind of wasted it. So I've been able to do a couple things. I know many of you are aware that a couple years ago I walked across Europe for Seeds of Hope on the Via Francigena. I walked 2,000 kilometers, and my book is long overdue. And I tried to get it finished over this 2 weeks. Didn't quite get there, but I got far enough where I felt pretty good about myself. So, anyhow, I hope you were able to feel good about yourself in some capacity, that you're able to do something both to relax and also to enrich your life, to make your life better, fuller, and happier. Because that's really important, especially when we're spending so much time indoors. It's really important to be able to find those things that bring us a little joy. So I will share one thing with you before we go into the assembly, is because, like many of you, you had vacation plans, and my family and I were supposed to be in Portugal and Spain. In fact, I'm supposed to be walking this week into Spain, into the trail that I usually take runs. I was going to do a shortened version of that, and I was supposed to be there this week. So of course I'm a little bit disappointed. But what I did is my wife and I, we would try to watch some travel videos on Netflix and some other TV channels to be able to kind of, get out of Hong Kong, get out of the house, see the world, even if it was from our sofa. Anyhow, on Netflix, do yourself a favor. We found Conan O'Brien's Without Borders. And I think there's 5 or 6 countries he visits. We've watched the one where he goes to Israel, where he goes to Haiti, and where he goes to Korea. We still want to watch the one with him going to Italy and Mexico. Anyhow, he's an American comedian and talk show host, and it is so funny. You learn about the countries, you see some really wonderful things, but it's so fun to watch because the guy is so funny. You will laugh out loud. So anyhow, there's a recommendation of something you can enjoy during your time that'll bring actually a lot of joy and a lot of laughter. Anyhow, before the Easter break, I got invited to be part of a project that you may or may not have seen. It was an inspirational video by us of a song written by our YCIS music director in Chongqing, a guy named Jeff Vukovich. Anyhow, Jeff had written this song, and so I got asked, along with Mr. Jeremy Williams and his wife Yum, and a lot of other people were involved in this, to create this song from different people's homes, playing the music, singing the music. And it was very inspirational. It's about how we can address this whole coronavirus, or particularly how our organization is addressing it. Just going to read you the cover message, and you'll see it at the beginning of the video, which I'm going to play in just a moment. But it says, "Live On" is a song and video celebrating our YCIS and YWIES, UI International Education Service community response to the COVID-19 virus and the environment that has brought not only sickness, but fear, suspicion, and isolation to all peoples across the globe. With music and lyrics by Jeff Vukovich, Live On contrasts the narrative that division and separation are the world's new future with a message that hope will ultimately prevail. Join our students and staff as they lead us to that promise just just beyond the horizon, where we laugh more, we sing more, we dance more, and we love more. The place within our reach where we can banish the darkness together and live on. Now, you may be thinking, wow, that was pretty good. I got a secret for you. Mr. Hackman wrote that. Shh. Anyhow, there was so much talent involved. I just got to help out a little bit, but the video was released during the Easter break, so you may or may not have had an opportunity to see it. So I want to show it to you right now, and then I'm going to come back and just kind of look at a couple of the lyrics and draw a little assembly message from that. So please enjoy the video. Did you enjoy that? I love that. You know, the first time my wife saw the final one that you just saw, she had tears in her eyes. I thought it was very powerful and it's very well written. And Mr. Vukovic in Chongqing, as well as everybody who contributed musically, should really stand up and take a bow. But if you notice at the beginning, the lyrics begin, "The walls of our homes have become so familiar. The outside world is now so peculiar." I don't know about you, but I've been seeing there's been a lot of good things. People have been doing some wondrous things, but there's a lot of peculiarness going on as well. I'm American. I'm watching what goes on in America. There's a lot of peculiarness going on. From screens on our computers, suspicions arise. And I don't know about you, I spend a bit of time on social media, and I've been seeing an increase in the amount of posts being shared, mass messages I've been getting, groups I've been added to convey conspiracy theories. And if you're not familiar with what that word conspiracy means, or theory, conspiracy theory, It's when someone believes that maybe there's a group of people or there's a government or a group of leaders who are secretly doing things for their own gain. And it's the rest of the world that's going to bear the consequences of it. In this case, the coronavirus, it's being caused by 5G towers. And there is these rich people who are establishing the 5G power so the 5G tower so that they can control the world, and the coronavirus is being used to help control. Or it just comes down to this leader's to blame or this country's to blame. There's always, whenever in human history something goes wrong, or we get anxious or we get a little bit fearful, we look for someone to blame. That we need something so that we can make sense of the world. It helps us as the human race to be able to say, oh, this is where the trouble started, and if we can just accuse this or get rid of this, then we can all feel better about ourselves. And first of all, as a Christian, I'm told by Jesus, don't even begin to do that. I've dealt with that in other assemblies, the whole blame game, but I'm increasingly seeing that. So I wanted to share a verse that a pastor did on Facebook today, and I actually stole it from him, or he's a good friend. I can say I borrowed it from him because he was addressing this issue as well, because he'd been getting a lot of these types of social media posts. So he cautioned his friends against this, and then he uses this verse from Isaiah. It says, "Do not call conspiracy everything this people calls a conspiracy. Do not fear what they fear, and do not dread it." One of the things as a Christian, and like I said, as the teachings of Jesus would have me do, is always try to think the best about a situation, to not be thinking, who can I assign blame to look for a scapegoat. If you're not familiar with that term, a scapegoat, it's whenever in traditional societies, they would take an animal and sacrifice it. And that was what we would give to the gods so that we could be out of trouble. And it takes its form in a modern context. If something goes wrong at work, who can we blame for this? So the rest of us can not have to deal with any blame. It happens in countries, it happens in families, it happens in friendships. There is a tendency, there is something within the human history that sometimes we have an instinct to try to put blame somewhere else so that we can absolve ourselves or rid ourselves of the blame itself. And that's one of the reasons we just celebrated Easter. One of the messages of Easter, among others, is Jesus saying, if you need somebody to blame, blame me. Put all your blame on me. I'll take it down into the grave with me. And then when he comes back up again, he doesn't blame anybody who's tortured him, who has accused him wrongfully, who have executed him. He bears no malice, no anger, no revenge on anyone. He takes that blame away and he comes back clean. And that's really the message of hope that Christianity brings. And I hope in some way that this video is able to bring a message of hope. I love how the lyrics go. This is not our life now. Think about that in the context of what I've just shared. We have an option to be able to cast blame somewhere, of being able to maybe ostracize a certain country or a certain people group or certain leaders or certain companies or whatever it is. We can choose that this will not be our life now. That if we're smart, again, now we have the choice. If we're smart, we can all work together and smother this plague and expunge it forever. And I like to think a plague goes beyond just the coronavirus. To me, what's even worse is some of the fear and the anxiety and the blame that comes with the virus, which in many cases can be worse than the actual virus itself. If we're smart and we work together, we can push that plague out as well. We can make this world even better. Nothing can stop, and the world in its tracks, so there is no holding back. Anyhow, I wanted to encourage you with that. I hope you are finding new ways of being able to live on during this time. And that's going to be the question today. What did you do the last couple weeks that helped you during this coronavirus time to be able to find some joy, to find some gratitude, maybe to enrich yourself and to live on? Can you answer that for this week's question? And we'll just close with a little bit different prayer today. What I want to do is read a psalm, very familiar psalm if you're a Christian, one of the more popular ones. And I thought we would just read this as our closing prayer today. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The reason I wanted to close with that psalm rather than maybe a more traditional prayer is this psalm really speaks to this week's assembly, is that in many cases, we are walking through the shadow of death. I think at this point, there's been over 150,000 deaths in the world. And this is a real tragedy that many are facing. And this psalm is a psalm of hope, that no matter what challenge or trial we're facing, we never do it alone, that God is always with us. Anyhow, I hope you're blessed by this week's assembly. I look forward to sharing one with you next week. I'm looking even more forward to seeing you all in person back at the campus, hopefully soon. Anyhow, God bless. Goodbye. Take care. Bye-bye.